Today, I'm gonna show you how to put together this DIY battery kit. This kit right here is for building a 48 volt, 3.7 kilowatt hour battery that is rack mountable and also wall mountable. It is designed to be used with 16 of the LEV60 cells that are available at jack35.com. This is a DIY project. It will require you to build this battery following this video instruction guide. Okay, so this is the kit. This is how you will get it. You will get it all put together like this, and so you will have to take it apart, disassemble it, and then reassemble it, right? Here are the parts that you are going to need. It don't come in the kit. You'll have to get these separately, right? The BMS. We have a link to the BMS there. It's the one that includes the screen and the COM port. Then you're also gonna need a 125 amp DC circuit breaker. And then you're gonna need these 4 cables. And these, I put some links to an Amazon cable that you can get, and then you can cut in half and then put ring terminals. Right now, as of right now, this is the only way to do it. You will have to crimp some terminals and then some ferrules here, right? Maybe in the future we will have these made in China. We will include them in the kit, but as of right now, you'd have to make these. Then also the bus bar PCB kit, right, for the 16 cells. And then of course you're gonna have to get your 16 LEV60 cells at jack35.com. Okay, so let's start by taking this apart. All you'll need was just a regular screwdriver, and then you start by taking the front handles, then the front face. Next, we take the back cover off. Okay, now that we've taken this box apart, grab your BMS unit, the main unit, your DC circuit breaker, and then the COM port and the LCD screen. We're gonna populate the front face here, right? First, we're gonna install the screen. So this unit here has these standoffs, and you should be able to just push it right through there. Next, we're gonna put the COM port. It's the same thing. You have standoffs here. Okay, next we're going to put the circuit breaker. Now on this unit here, we don't have holes here. But in the production version of this plate, when you get yours, it will have 2 holes in here. And the reason for those holes is so that you can install this here and then later add the cables and you can still tighten them. The reason is that to tighten the cables in there, it requires this screw. And so if you put it in there, you install it, then you don't have a way to secure the cables. So on this version right here, I'm gonna have to do the cables first and then install it in there, and you will be able to install this first and then do the cables later. So in order to do that, you will need the big cable. This is the longer cable that has the 2, will go on the top right here. So with the letters facing down, you just tighten that in there. And then on the bottom, we will do this shorter one. Okay, this bracket off. And then you slide them in here. Sometimes you'll have to hit these. It'll be tight in there. These holes, I think, vary in size a little bit, and I've gotten a few of these that are tight. And then you put your little nut back in here. So then without tightening that, then you put this in here. Then we tighten this. And then this guy can still be adjusted. We don't want this thing sticking out a lot. I mean, you can if you want to for whatever reason, but you could also just back it up like this so it doesn't stick out as much on the front, and then you tighten these screws. Next, what you can do, well, it's install this cable where it's gonna go, and this cable is gonna go right here into the positive terminal. All right, next, since we are right here, let's install this cable. Let's install this unit right here. And this compression plate has standoffs with screws. Okay, now that you have that there, let's install this cable. The one that has the 5/16 hole on it on one side, and then the 1/4 inch on the other one. The small one goes on the bottom, and then it goes up like that. Next, to finish up the face here, is you will have to connect these ribbon cables. Now they come like this, and what you have to do is do this, put them in this sort of configuration. Now, of course, this is not 100% needed. This is only if you want to remain neat in your installation, right? So what you do is you do that. Then the last thing is to connect the switch. The black and the red ones are for the light. This little switch that we have included in here has a little light. What is critical is to connect the blue wires into these red wires, right? So we peeled them back, and these ones are already peeled. On this version, I'm just gonna cut these ones off so they're not in the way. Okay, so what you need to do is solder these. Of course, soldering would be the most proper way to do this, but nobody says that you have to do this 100% the way it needs to be, right? You could also just twist them like this. Electrical tape over here. Now, if you do have shrink tube, you can shrink tube them right here. There we go. So it's time to load up the cells into this box here. Now, this is fish paper. We recommend you use some of it. How much of it? We don't know. We don't know what the right answer here. You can line up this whole box to protect the cells and every single side of the cells. Or you could do like here where I just did on the two sides that are gonna be pressing up against the thing. There's no right answer here. You could be as safe as you want. This is the reason why this is DIY, so that you have the choice to do this. Or you could be as adventurous as I am and only put it on the two sides. You could use the PCB board right here to guide you how to install your cells. So according to this, the bottom row, it starts with positive, negative, positive, negative. So we can do that with the cell. So here is positive, negative, positive, negative. Follow that guide all the way up. All right, what I did here was loosen the bottom bolts in here to loosen up these plates, just to allow for you to put these guys in here, right? Because they're supposed to be a little bit tight, but not too tight. I'm gonna have to loosen up that one over there. This is heavy. It helps to put it off the edge of the table there, and then you can have access to those screws from the bottom. So just gotta make sure that that matches what's in here. Now put a couple of nuts in here, but don't completely install this yet. What I recommend now is to retighten everything here. All right, next it's time to put the BMS cables, balance cables in here, right? So here's how you get them. They're long like that. So what you do is you cut them to 7 inches. Now, only the balance cables. Do not cut the temperature sensors, right? Those are the black ones that are on every connector. There's 4 connectors, only the multicolored ones. Cut them about 7 inches. Now, before installing these cables in here, remove the PCB board here, and then look for number 1. We install it here. Here's number 2, 3, number 4. 1 and 2 will go here. We'll put a piece of tape. Okay, so there we go. We just ran 1 and 2 of the temperature sensors one here to this one, which is the number 12 cell. So the temperature sensors are, you know, spread one here, one there, one here, and then one over here. If any of these cells starts heating up a lot, then, you know, hopefully the temperature will catch it eventually, because even the adjacent cells will start heating up, right? Also, they are between the cells and the bus bars. So if the bus bar for some reason starts heating up and there's excessive heat in any of those, hopefully these things will catch it, right? It will start transferring a rising temperature inside of this battery box, and then the BMS will either throttle down or it will completely disconnect the battery, and then will save you from catastrophe, right? That's the job of these BMS right here. So after you do that, then we put the bus bar up on here. Now it's time to connect cables into this connector. So the little pins they're up there, so you have to open them up before you can put a cable in there. You see how that lowered in there? You have to do that across all of them before you can put cables. It should be pretty simple. It goes in sequence. The white one goes in the first one. The one next to it is the yellow one, goes on the next one. And then the red one goes in there. I would disconnect these cables so that when you're connecting them into the battery, they're not connected into the BMS. Just in case you make a mistake, less chances of frying the expensive BMS. So there we go. Red one, this brown, and then this blue one. Next connector, the same thing. Start with the white one. One is the yellow one. Next one is the red one. All right, and this next one is very important. This last one on the connector number 2 goes together with the first one of connector number 4. First cable is that white one. The last one is this brown one, and this white one go together. Make sure this is all backed out all the way. Don't over tighten those. Next one is the yellow one, the red one, then the last connector. The white one is the first one, yellow one, red one. Okay, next I'm gonna connect this big cable, the negative on the negative post. Cover it up. Then we connect the little cables here. So we'll use some zip ties here. Okay, so now it's time to install our face. This black cable goes on here, on this one. You use the same regular screwdriver, put it on here. Okay, remember these cables? Black one goes in here, this one right here, and then this one right here. The last cable to do is this one right here. That's the screen. Okay, so now we put a few screws in the front of this. Next, we gotta connect this big one here. Little cap. All right, at this point, everything is connected. Now we just gotta do the last cable, which is this one. This one's the final one that will electrify the BMS. I suggest when you do this, stand back, because if you made a mistake, you know, the BMS could go off. This is the first time that you're energizing Chinese made part. A lot of them blow up on the very first time when you first hook them up. It's possible that this happened even if you didn't make any mistake. So just be careful when you connect this. You know, this is the point of no return here. Okay, so there we go. We have life. Let's see, connection failed. So that's okay. And the reason why that might be is because maybe this button is not on. This is a weird BMS in that the screen, if you press on the screen, it will turn on even though the BMS, it's not on. The way you can tell that the BMS is on is by the on-off switch over here, right? And this will keep saying connection failed because it basically tries to connect to the BMS and it doesn't, so then it just says connection failed. So turn this switch on and look at that. There we go. Now we have this light and then these lights right here. So now we go to the pack info menu, pack info entered. So it's, according to this, is 53.45 volts. Let's go down Current, there's nothing because there's nothing hooked up into it. Capacity. Hey, well, I wonder what capacity will tell us. According to this is 80 amp hours. These are 74 amp hour cells. I think there's 0 cycles, right? FCC 100 amp hour. I don't know what FCC means. Factory calibrated? I don't know what FCC means. We'll have to look into that. Go back to menu, enter, no, menu, yeah, pack info, down, capacity, temperature, cell info. This is the one that we want to see. So the cells 1 through 4 are 33, 39. They're pretty close. Go down. Cells 5 to 8 are pretty balanced. Then 9 to 12, also pretty balanced. And 13 to 16, also pretty balanced. This battery is very, very well balanced. These are new cells that you're using on here. So they shouldn't vary too much. If there's a large variance between one cell there, then there might be an indication that you have a cell that might be out of spec. And then you got to keep an eye on that. You could probably try to run a few cycles. What the BMS is going to try to do is going to try to balance every time you cycle it, right? And so if it's too far out of balance, maybe the BMS is going to take a long time. Maybe what you need to do is like swap out that cell to another one if you've bought extra cells, right? Or if that's not the case, then you might have to buy just a single cell, or you can just contact us and we'll replace a bad cell all day, every day, no problem. Also, maybe the cell is just a different state of charge for whatever reason, and so you could try to balance it yourself using a variable power supply, right? If you have those tools, then you could do that and you can run through those steps. If you don't have any of those tools, you're just buying this to put it together and you have limited amount of tools and access to tools, then yeah, just contact us and we will swap out a cell. We'll send you an extra cell so that you can replace it and then have a pack that is perfectly balanced. At least within the first 10 cycles, the BMS should be able to balance this correctly. So at this point, we are ready to put the cover. This is the front, the one that has rivet nuts. There are also all the screws. Those also go on the front, and the reason why those are there are for the bracket that is going to allow you to install this on 19-inch standard rack. All right, before you go ahead and screw everything, I suggest you kind of line everything up, and then I suggest you put these handles in. Last but not least is gonna be the plate that goes on the other side and the top, right? So this plate, this blank plate, is also going to be available for the front here so that you can do your own, right? So let's say you don't like really affordable terminals that I got here, or you don't like this BMS and you want to use your own BMS and it looks different, the screen is different, the buttons are different, this is different. So you could get your own blank plate here and then just drill your own holes and do whatever you need to do to make this box work for you. Also, there will be one of these plates that has a hole in here so that you could put it in the back, in the front over here, or the top of this box or the back of this box, and then you can connect a secondary box next to this one and then just connect the cells, and then all of these cells will be together and you could run it through the same BMS, because this BMS, you can get it in a 200 amp version, and this same BMS, even at 100 amps, it can manage more than 16 cells. It could probably manage 36 or 32 cells, probably even more than that. But for this application, we're gonna be able to combine both of those boxes, and it will require for a hole to be on one of these plates. So we'll offer that one with the hole too. Let's install this in the back, and then we're done with our project. And there it is, a finished 48 volt battery that you just built out of a kit. You just built that. That looks like a professional box, but it's DIY. You built it. All right, now that you have finished your battery, your DIY battery, one of the questions that we keep getting is, how do you charge the battery? And so, any battery, right? And so there are dedicated chargers. On this case, you would have to get a 48 volt charger that doesn't go above 58 volts. And you could use that charger to charge this battery. And then you can discharge this battery by using an inverter, right? But by far, the easiest way to do that is just to get an inverter sort of like this, that it's all in one. This is a hybrid inverter from Orient Power, is the LV6548. And this one is an everything. It has a solar charge controller, so you connect your solar in here, and then you could charge your battery via this, right? So it takes energy from your solar panels, and then it'll use that energy to charge your battery. But then it also will take your battery energy, and then it'll invert it into AC, all right? And you connect your AC input in here, and then the output is right here, and then you can power stuff on the output. And you can set this up as a backup, or you can set it up. There's, I think, several schemes where you can set it up. But this is like a one unit, right? It's got a charger, an inverter, and a solar charge controller, right? And so three of those devices in one box, and they work with the 48 volt batteries, right? And so how you can set this up is you can set them up like this and stack them up in a rack, right? With the little ears, the L brackets right here. So it's a standard 19-inch height, right? So it's like 4 spaces. And you could also mount this on the wall too, right? There are French cleats that we will offer with the wall version of this, and then you could put them up in the wall, connect them together, connect them into your inverter, and then you can charge them this way, and you can discharge them that way. You can use them as a backup. You can use them for all kinds of other schemes, right? So there you go. That's a cool little, and by the way, there's a bunch of different versions of this and brands and stuff. This is the one that I have, and this is the one that I have a little bit of experience, so that's why I'm suggesting for you guys to do that. By the way, this is very, very affordable right now on Amazon. I just saw it for $1,000, so it's a 6 kilowatt. I mean, this is a really good deal, right? And it has good track record. A bunch of people have been using it now for years, and there's a bunch of manufacturers that make the exact same one. This is just a one brand that I have, right? So there you go. Congratulations on building your own 48 volt battery. It looks pretty good. All right, so I hope you found this project useful and helpful. Also stay tuned, because I am working on one that's twice this size. This is a 3.7 kilowatt hour. I'm working on one that's going to be 7.5 kilowatts. So basically 2 of those put together. And the advantages of the bigger one is that it will be actually more affordable, if you can believe that, because it's only one box instead of 2 boxes. So one bigger box is cheaper than 2 smaller ones. And it also will allow you to use a single BMS instead of having 2 BMSs per every 7.5 kilowatt, right? So you're not afraid to get your hands dirty and build batteries, and you're looking for an affordable 48 volt battery system, then I have this one, and then the larger one coming up in this channel. All right, thank you for watching this video. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Never been easier to build a DIY battery system.
We live in the greatest time in history.
Take a look at this fool.
I mean, just look at him.
Is that guy normal?
I don't think he's all there.
Oh, he is low IQ.
An example of the lowest kind in our society.
And if he can do it, what does that say about you? So, just get up and do it.
Are you really going to wait until a complete collapse of the electrical grid to worry about this?
Are you really going to wait?
What does that say about you? Just wait until all the lights go off and your precious TikTok goes dark. You oblivious fool, don't be that guy.
Well, are you?
Seize the moment.
Build it, build it, build it. Build the power wall.